What's up? What's up? What's good with everybody? And as always, I like to welcome my real motherfuckers to the Hood on Lock. I'm your host, Sensei Official. Make sure you tap in with me on all social media platforms under Sensei Official, and of course the brand, the Hood on Lock. Man, oh man, we got another one, man. I'm sad to bring you the news of this story about a young lady by the name of Piper Lewis. For those that don't know her story, let me give you a brief introduction of it before we go into actual facts of her case. Piper, just like I believe her name was Antonia Brown or Mrs. Brown, was a teen who was pimped, human trafficked, sold to different men for profit, basically prostituted. And during one of her encounters with one of her Johns, which is what they call it, a guy who had purchased her, she was raped multiple times, she claimed. And while he was asleep, she jumped up in fear to stab this man over 30 times. She wanted to make sure he was dead. She's a young lady, of course, underage, minor. Most likely he's a full grown man. Men are naturally stronger than women. So at the end of the day, of course, you shouldn't expect her to kill this man or defend herself in any other way than when she has an advantage. Well, you know how the courts is. The courts feel like, or the courts have a strict law that says you can use excessive force, meaning you can kill someone if you or someone's life is in immediate danger, which means you have to be at the time of attack or defense being assaulted in some kind of way for the courts to even look at a self defense law. So, because this young minor waited for him to go to sleep, strategized to take him out to be free and no longer raped, the courts didn't see her way, therefore, not only charging her with the crime, convicting her of a crime, but they actually set out to make her pay 150,000 in restitution to his family for his death. The court does not deny that she was raped. The courts do not deny she was pimped. The courts do not deny that, she did this in an act of self defense. But due to the way the law is structured, if he wasn't physically beating her, raping her, or had a weapon to her at the time of murder, you're no longer considered a threat. Therefore, that's how this young lady was convicted. And, my opinion, it's not right either way. I don't give a fuck how you look at it. I don't care how you put it. I wouldn't expect a minor, especially female, to wait for her to be raped or attacked again to try to defend herself when a man is just naturally stronger than a woman. Another failed judicial system, basically, is what we're talking about. She did what I think any other young girl would have did, which was wait for the perfect opportunity, whether he was eating, whether he was sleeping, whether he was fixing something, to make her move. She already was in fear. She was already harmed by this man. What does the court system expect from a young minor lady who has been victimized over and over and over again? See, this shit is just crazy. We sit back as people. We know this shit is not right. We know this shit is not fair. And even though the courts, the judges, and the system does this to us, we do nothing about it. Let's go ahead and tap in to some of this young girl's story. Shout out to Miss Laker. I see you in the motherfucking building, and I see my girl Smiley smile up in this bitch. Appreciate you. And just to let y'all know, man, the Hood's C Day is tomorrow, man. I'm getting old. Y'all make sure y'all show me some love via the support system. Which one do I want to go with first? This is the young lady that we're speaking on today, Piper Lewis, man. She was kidnapped or she was pimped out at the age of 15 And during her alleged rape, she killed the man trying to get away. Man, that's self defense. I don't care how you look at it. I don't care how you put it. If it was a white woman, open and closed case. But again, you see what color her skin is. So I'm pretty sure that had a reason to do with why she was convicted, charged, convicted, and have to pay this money. Not to mention the judge is black too. But we know it's coons in all places.
Today, my voice will be heard. The story of Piper Lewis holds power. The trauma of Piper Lewis carries a ruptured beginning, tormented past, and a delayed future. With perseverance, we have the ability to change the direction of our delayed and unknown futures. Living with the knowledge of this has been a challenge. It can conquer thoughts, feelings, and spiritual practices. With the power of patience and forgiveness provided to me by others as well as myself, I prevailed. I am resilient. My story can change things. My story has changed me. The events that took place on that horrific day cannot be changed, as much as I wish they could. That day, a combination of complicated actions took place, resulting in the death of a person as well as stolen innocence of a child. Remorse forms itself in front of me.
Prime is more expensive than ever, but I just discovered a money saving alternative. Are you still using Prime?
As I grow and evolve as a young woman, I feel for the victim's family. I wish what happened never did, and I truly feel that way. The healing process is inevitable. I repeat, I wish the events that took place on June 1st, 2020 never occurred. But to say there's only one victim to this story is absurd. My future is unknown. The mental game of tug of war I compete with daily is painful. So today, September 1st, I have written this with an extreme wave of relief. 27 months of the waiting game will be over. My anxiety, as well as poor decision making, played a role into me wanting to self-sabotage just a few weeks ago and make negative and impulsive decisions. Feeling my world on my shoulders, just wanting one answer, needing to hear it so I can continue to progress and evolve as a person. I felt stuck. I feel I have taken advantage of all things a child aged 15 through 17 can within the walls of Polk County Juvenile Detention Center. I've battled challenges with the strength of my own resilience. I wasn't alone no matter how many times I felt lost, detached, and isolated. I had an amazing therapist, Megan, to help guide me in finding my voice. She heard me. Walking through the fire, a phoenix like me carries on its back as it rises from the ashes. This means I face rape, abuse, hatred, betrayal, manipulation, abandonment, loss of a parent, loneliness, and self-revelation. The list goes on and on. I wonder what else I will carry in that sack of beautiful pain. I often ask myself why I hurt. The answer is clear. Hurt people, whether it's intentional or not. My actions cause pain and hurt upon others. Others' actions cause pain and hurt upon me. I am very young now that I realize it. I feel that I need to prove myself. I need to act grown. I need to be perfect with a mindset of consistent persistence. I know that I am being watched by a million eyes. Reality is, I will make mistakes, even with the court's pressure, and the thought of one mistake I will make determine my entire future. I refuse to fail. I refuse to let the system fail me. Some days I feel like giving up, but yet again, I am the light at the end of the tunnel. I flicker brighter than the simple thought of my own future. I must prevail. I own the power to take accountability. The ones that hold me accountable deserve a reason, an explanation, not excuses which are often confused. In these steps to reasonable ownership, I felt I have taken the proper accountability. The unknown. I carry myself through the wind with sand and dust particles in my eyes. Why? Because of what I carry. I am not a stranger to the dark because I am the light. So why question my mind, the way I think, process, and react? If you were me, how perfect would you be in the sea of the unknown? I do not fear the thought of further incarceration. I fear not being able to accomplish some of my goals. I even graduated high school at age 17, a year ahead of my class. I'm going to be a fashion and graphic designer, open up my business titled Pie, create a place of comfort and acceptance for girls like me, become a juvenile justice advocate for youth in Iowa, be a counselor, start a family, and tell my story. No matter what the next chapter is, I will still rise. No matter what the judge's decision is today, I will still prevail. Nothing can stop a positive path of progress but negativity and doubt. During my journey, I've found part of the spiritual world and its beauty. I have progressed with the ability to lead with the power of many while maintaining self worth. It has been difficult for me to communicate reasons why and how I have changed, in other words, been rehabilitated, which is a result of my actions growing up in detention. I have made decisions strictly for my own growth. I have made mistakes simply because of my own cognitive development. I am aware of what's right and wrong, but the constant fight of wanting to live in a life of a normal teenager inside of a detention center has been difficult. My legal team has walked with me with outstretched arms full of love and integrity. But the battle of opening up to all my team has been a journey. For a person to be honest and open, you must have trust built within the foundations of a healthy relationship. Once trust is scarce, opening up is more difficult to tell my story and then go back to detention life. That has been a struggle. Once you leave the visiting room, you leave with a part of me. I had no other choice but to find people to connect with in detention. Once I was released, I was conflicted with why I was treated like fragile glass or why I couldn't have friends. I was tempted to return to comfort. My life before called to me. I just wanted to be a normal teenager. I felt once again isolated and abandoned. It triggered my fight or flight, along with seeing my trafficker again. What people fail to realize is that I never got out of the life. I was taken out by my circumstances. Being placed in the same environment as I was as a victim of human trafficking triggered me. I couldn't even be around smoke without having flashbacks. I always questioned why I have such an articulate way of thinking or why I feel so disconnected. I can't really answer why. Losing my father taught me something. To stay connected to the ones you love, you must first stay connected within the soul. My spirit has been burned but still glows through the flames. My mind has been poked and degraded, but I still radiate intelligent, positive thinking. To question my worth, no matter what my next journey is, isn't an option. I am resilient. The apple falls far from the tree of its choosing. Other youth have told me I am different. I glow when I speak words of upliftment. That's my purpose. to lead with the power of many. Hear me roar, see me glow, and watch me grow. Like a flower, a rose petal in the wind, I fly away, I let go of my past, and drift beautifully into the future. I am a survivor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lewis. You may step down.
I know that speech she just told make you feel fucked up, man. Again, this a minor was prostituted and raped multiple times, including by her victim. As a scared young girl, she waited for what she felt was the right opportunity to not only defend herself, but to get away from her attacker slash rapist. And as we've seen happen before, it seemed like the courts give zero fucks when it's a person of color. And I hate to always have to pull the race card, but we gotta call a spade a spade. If this was a white woman with a white attacker slash rapist, self defense, no charges, charges dropped, walk out the door, go back to your life the best you can. If it was a white woman and a black attacker, you definitely know how that would have ended. But this young lady is a black female, was raped and prostituted against her will as a minor. Even if she wanted to, she was a minor, it was still wrong. And when she thought she had the perfect opportunity to get back and get away, she took it. And even though you guys may consider this a slap on the wrist, she still has to live with that on her record. The charges that she accepted. I'm also sure that she probably took the deal to avoid a real harsh sentence because at the end of the day, the law is the law. Her story doesn't matter in court. Only thing matters is what the law says and what happens. And because this man was asleep, she would definitely be convicted of some type of dangerous crime if she would have went all the way through. It's like it's like a run into a brick road. No matter which way you turn, you're fucking stuck. You can't get out. If she fights it, she's going to be convicted due to what the law states. That's a tactic that they use on us all the time. This shit's not fair. This shit is not cool. So the court's basically saying is, even though this man raped you multiple times, and he is physically stronger than you because he is a male, you women have to wait until you're being attacked or physically raped to defend yourself. Now keep in mind, it wasn't like he was talking about raping her. He had already did the deed multiple times. All it takes is once. But he had already raped this girl multiple times. And in the court eyes, she had to wait until the rape was going on or the attack was going on to be able to kill this man and walk away free, scot clean. The court doesn't care about the circumstance. The court doesn't care that this is a minor girl who was scared, I'm pretty sure, shitless out of her panties. There was no one there to protect this young girl. In my eyes, she was smart. Piper Lewis was smart. She's a young 15-year-old girl in the presence of a stronger grown man, and she knew at a head-up fight she probably would not win, not even a small chance. So instead, she plotted and planned out, I'm pretty sure she did, and waited for the right opportunity. How is that still not self-defense in any court's eyes? And I'm gonna show you in a second. This big black bald head motherfucking judge, the one you saw on the thumbnail, there was multiple things he could have did that could have threw this shit out or made this shit go away. But instead, as you can see, in many cases, when niggas join the police force become their family, they people, their race, the love of their life. It's no longer the niggas who was with them and helped supporting them before they got to that point in their life. Shit's not cool. You have to wait till he's able to defend himself against you. But she's a whole woman, though. It's like I said, why is she even charged? We're going to get to that, man. That's some bullshit. What hurts the most, the judge was a black man. What the fuck? Exactly. We about to tap into this motherfucker right now, my nigga. And what's crazy is, even though he claimed he's doing his job, right, you can still tell he gave no fucks. He stayed into judge character. You heard no compassion in his voice. You heard no sorrow, no sorry. He could have even said the words, man, I wish I didn't have to do this, or there was something else I can do. Even though it was something else he could have did. And you're going to hear a legal analysis or reporter speak on what else he could have did to make this girl's situation a lot better. Again, the courts don't give a fuck about us. The system don't give a fuck about us. And even our own people within them branches don't give a fuck about us. Let's listen to this Uncle Tom ass motherfucker.
And after a colloquy with you, Ms. Lewis, I will defer your judgment. You are granted probation on the terms and conditions set forth in the order to follow. I will impose a civil penalty in the amount of $2,175 for each count, for a fine or civil penalty not to exceed $4,350. In imposing deferred judgment or granting you a deferred judgment and imposing a civil penalty, Ms. Lewis, I will convert those civil penalties to community service at a rate of $7.25 per hour, which is a statutory requirement that requires you to complete 600 hours of community service.
So in order to pay back some of this restitution or other restitution, this nigga is paying her $7 an hour, and she has to complete 6,000 hours to pay this back. Man, this is some cold shit.
So it's part of the reason why I ask you questions about whether you can follow rules even though you disagree with them, is that I'm here to tell you the next 5 years of your life will be full of rules that you will disagree with. I'm sure of it.
Listen to this shit again. Listen to this shit one more time, y'all. Hold on, it jumped to the next one. Hold on, we'll listen to this motherfucker one more time.
And after a colloquy with you, Ms. Lewis, I will defer your judgment. You are granted probation on the terms and conditions set forth in the order to follow. I will impose a civil penalty in the amount of $2,175 for each count, for a fine or civil penalty not to exceed $4,350. In imposing deferred judgment or granting you a deferred judgment and imposing a civil penalty, Ms. Lewis, I will convert those civil penalties to community service at a rate of $7.25 per hour, which is a statutory requirement that requires you to complete 600 hours of community service. Ms. Lewis, part of the reason why I ask you questions about whether you can follow rules even though you disagree with them, is that I'm here to tell you the next 5 years of your life will be full of rules that you will disagree with. I'm sure of it.
So it's not like the judge already banking on her to fail. Your next 5 years gonna be full of rules. So I'm sure you'll mess up or something of that fact. Like nigga, why you gotta be a ho about this shit, my nigga? Why? Doesn't make any sense. Like that shit's real. Like he don't give a fuck, my nigga. That's the problem with judges. You can sentence a motherfucker. You can do your job and still care. Still have some emotion of it. But this notion of fuck it, I'm just tough, I'm just hard, I'm a judge. Nigga, this is a young girl at the time that was being victimized. And this young black judge sits up there like a bitch and don't give a fuck. This is the type of society we live in. That's why it's gonna always and forever be fuck the police. And when we say fuck the police, it ain't just the police officers. It's all affiliated branches attached to that, including judges and courts. Cause y'all all some bitches, y'all all some hoes. This shit is not right, y'all. Now next we gonna tap into and this dude right here, when he speaks on real topics, man, I feel my nigga. Like I respect what he doing and I appreciate it. Let's tap into my boy, man. Let's go. Indisputable. Y'all go check him out.
Been trafficked and decides to stand up for herself, defend herself. She kills the monster that did this to her, freeing her and many others in the process. She gets arrested. She gets prosecuted. And now she has to pay money to the family of the man who raped her. Only in America. Put up a picture full mass.
Only in America.
A teen human trafficking victim who fatally stabbed her accused rapist was sentenced Tuesday in Iowa court. Pieper Lewis, 17 years of age, who was initially charged with first-degree murder. We got on top of this quickly in the advocacy community, and they changed it. She was sentenced to 5 years of closely supervised probation. Initially, they wanted to give her many years in prison. They have converted that to 5 years of probation, 600 hours of community service, and ordered to pay $150,000 restitution to her rapist.
Now hold on. We're gonna pause right there, y'all. Y'all know when it comes to this sentencing shit, hood know what he talking about. I didn't been there, done that. When you hear the judge or when you hear the reporter say that the judge has deferred the many years they was gonna give her for being convicted to 5 years probation, that lets you know the court and the judges is aware that this girl is a victim. Ask yourself, since when do they give murders probation? If they really feel like this girl killed this man in cold blood, they would not defer her time into probation. They just would have convicted her, easy case, and because of the way the law is set up, and she would have been doing like 30, 40, 50 years. But the court and the judge deferred it because they knew what they was doing was wrong, and this is the way they try to, I guess, fix it. Convict you on a lesser crime so you still be on paperwork. So if she does something later on in life, they can use this against her. You see how they move? The white woman, she gets no charges. She go home fresh start. The black people, the minorities, we're gonna give you a slap on the wrist because we know you're supposed to just let you go like we do the white women. But we want to put you on some paperwork so if later on you fuck up, We can use this against you and add more time on or help convict you on a case if it's similar. This is the game they mostly play with men. Now we see them playing this game with our black women. This girl should not have been charged. She should have been released, charges dropped, and started her life over with a brand new start with no worries. Instead, she's going to be a felon. It's going to be hard for her to obtain certain jobs. Anybody who's a felon know the struggles that come along with being a felon. She will be seen as a motherfucking murderer or a dangerous person when the businesses and the jobs want a background check on her. Like, you got to understand that even though she got a 5 year probation, which still ain't that great, but even it was way better than what she was facing, she can violate and end up going to prison during that 5 years. They can then bring this back up later on and use this against her in future cases. Ain't nobody perfect. We don't know if she's gonna go on to live the best life or the straight life the rest of her life. We fuck up. We're all human. But they're gonna definitely, if she do slip up, use this against her in that case. The shit's not cool. The shit's not fair. And because the judge deferred her time, meaning, in other words, simple terms, he changed it from many years to just 5 year probation, that lets you know that the judge somewhere somehow feels this girl did not murder this man in cold blood. This girl had to have been a victim of whatever she claims because there's no other reason, and he wasn't forced to do this for this girl. But did he really help her? He may have helped her as far as time wise. He may have helped her avoid prison, but this girl still has a criminal record that says she hurt somebody, if not killed somebody. That will forever haunt her in her career and in her life. That shit's not cool.
His family. She pleaded last year to involuntary manslaughter and willful injury for the June 2020 killing of a 37-year-old Zachary Brooks of Des Moines. Both charges were punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Now, is this making sense to anybody? The prosecutor,
No.
they know what he did. There's no ambiguity. They're not saying, oh, well, maybe he didn't do that. We don't know for sure. No, they know exactly what he did. They know exactly what kind of business he
And
operates.
she freed other
This is
victims when she killed him. It wasn't just her.
This is in the
They said
defense
she
of
freed
yourself
other
and
victims.
in the defense of others. But she got charged. And if it had not been for the community getting involved, she would have had those 10 years in prison. She should not have been charged at all. I thought
Exactly.
conservatives in particular were okay with self-defense.
Charges should have been
Put up a
dropped or
picture
never
of the
filed. Or never
monster
filed.
who did this to her. Brooks was one of the men. Then 15-year-old.
Hold on, let's blow this fuck nigga up. Y'all know how I do it, nigga. Ain't no hiding, you fuck niggas. This is her fucking attacker. Look at this weird motherfucker. Hey, don't he like one of them niggas that be on here blogging on the internet? Don't that nigga like a YouTube blogger? Is that What Up Sucker too? Who is this nigga, man? That nigga like a blogger, don't he? Keep it real, y'all. Y'all know that nigga look like a blogger. Look at this motherfucker. Man, I hit that like button. Smiley said never file. Yeah. And I want to let y'all know going forward, man. Y'all know I like interaction on the panel. I'm gonna start ignoring the chat. Y'all gonna have to come up and voice y'all opinion if y'all want me to acknowledge it, y'all. for real. Or donate through Super Chat if you want me to read your shit. We got to get some structure over here because I'm not feeling the support all the way like that. But y'all check this nigga out though, man. Look at this motherfucker. Let's finish listening to what this motherfucker did.
Miss Lewis was forced to have sex with. Brooks had raped Lewis multiple times in the weeks leading up to his death. After Brooks had raped her yet again, Lewis grabbed a knife from a bedside table, stabbed him more than 30 times. Polk County DA.
So reports is after the first round of rape, he was going for a second or the third round, and baby girl said, "Nah, fuck that, you weird ass nigga. Get over here." Nigga got to put the motherfucking knife to blade to his bitch ass. Salute to baby girl. Salute to Pieper Lewis for doing that shit on some real nigga shit.
Polk County District Judge, David M. Porter on Tuesday deferred those two 10-year prison sentences. All right, he deferred them. Once again, should not have been necessary. Should have been dropped. She should have no criminal record whatsoever.
Exactly.
But if Lewis
look at this nigga
violates any portion of her probation,
she
could be sent to prison to serve a 20-year term. This is not fair anywhere. This is the criminal justice
you see
system.
You see how they got her on the
showing
leash,
you exactly what it is.
This is how they put us on the leash.
The way it was designed to operate.
You see how they put us on a leash. Give her 5 years, she better not do nothing wrong. And if she do, she could be facing up to 20. Up to 20 years. I don't care what they say. I don't care what this look like in the court of law. This shit is wrong. And she's basically guilty of this man's murder. They is not treating her like a victim. They are not treating her like she was a minor being raped and sold to men. They're not acting as if her abuser had raped her multiple times. They are totally ignoring all that and still fucking over this little girl in her life, man. This shit ain't cool.
Operate typically, women, especially young women, young girls, they don't have gravitas in that system. She killed a rapist. She should go home with a medal. Man molested, raped child. That child killed. What are we doing here? Why is this a story? She should have no charges whatsoever. And there is a possibility at exoneration later. It could get overturned on appeal as well. There are options still available. But her plea sealed the actual conviction on the record. The penalty is ridiculous. As for being required to pay restitution, let's talk about this. It's to the estate of the rapist. The court is presented with no other option, Porter said, noting the restitution is mandatory under Iowa law that has been upheld by the Iowa Supreme Court. Put the judge back up for a minute, because I want to say this to the judge directly. The judge does a solid on one hand, where he basically suspends time in prison. And then he says, but I have no choice but to order you to pay $150,000 in restitution. Not true, Judge, based on my research. You could have made a ruling called in the interest of justice, because your ruling would have, in fact, been contrary to the letter of the statute in Iowa. It would have been aligned to the virtue of justice. Your court is allowed to make rulings in the interest of justice. I checked. Maybe you should too. You could have done contrary to what you did. Officials said Lewis was a runaway.
Again, shout out to the reporter, man. He just let us know that, again, these are other methods that he could have did, It would have been a whole lot better for this young girl, but he didn't use these. Maybe he's a fucking idiot. He don't know they exist. A lot of police officials, no matter what they do, they're fucking dummies, fucking idiots. They don't know all their shit. That's another problem we have with police officers. They don't know the law. They don't know they shit. Judges is the same way too as well. Especially after they've already gotten to that position. When they got once they got to that position, I'm sure they're not keeping up and monitoring their education and continuing their education with this shit. I know that.
Who was seeking to escape an abusive life with her adopted mother and was sleeping in the hallways of a Des Moines apartment building when a 28-year-old man took her in before trafficking her to other men for sex. She recounted being forced at knife point by the 28-year-old man to go to Brooks' apartment for sex. Police and prosecutors have not disputed.
Well, you just saw photos of that girl neck. So you tell me that wasn't from a knife? Man, that shit was clear as day.
Not disputed that Miss Lewis was sexually assaulted, molested, trafficked, prostituted as a child. No dispute. But prosecutors have argued that Brooks was asleep at the time he was stabbed and not an immediate danger to Lewis. Iowa is not among the dozens of states that have a so-called safe harbor law that gives trafficking victims at least some level of criminal immunity. Prosecutors took issue with Lewis calling herself a victim in the case and said she failed to take responsibility for stabbing Brooks and leaving his kids without a father. The judge, Pieper.
Now, look, this is another fucking problem that I have. We have someone that's called a prosecutor whose court is to convict the defendant by any way, shape, or form, whether they feel that they're guilty or not, especially if they black. I'm gonna stay on that. So even though they know this man raped this girl multiple times, he was paying for sex with a minor, abusing her, a prosecutor still sat in the courtroom and said that she failed to take responsibility for stabbing him and leaving his kids without a father. She's supposed to care about this nigga kids when he's raping her as a fucking kid. Not only did the prosecutor say this, but the courts, the judicial system, and the judge allowed and accepted this. Again, I want you guys to hear me when I say this. This happens all the time. We have a prosecutor that's supposed to be smart, intelligent, and be for the people in the courtroom trying to convict a minor of murder and says she failed to take responsibility for stabbing her abuser, her rapist, who just so happened to have fucking kids. So what? She's supposed to leave him alive, hope he get arrested, he gets sentenced to 50 years, but he can still see his kids through a glass. Like, this shit sounds dumb as fuck. But again, they make all this money and they get paid to fuck over us. And I'm tired of it.
Lewis with repeated questions to explain what poor choices she made that led up to Brooks stabbing and expressed concern that she sometimes did not want to follow rules set for her in juvenile lockup. Well, young lady, you need to learn a lesson. Damn shame, isn't it? Iowa does have an affirmative defense law that gives some leeway to victims of a crime if the victim committed the violation under compulsion by another's threat of serious injury, provided that the defendant reasonably believed that such injury was imminent. Prosecutors argued Tuesday that Lewis waived that affirmative defense when she pleaded guilty to manslaughter and willful injury. That is correct. She did waive it based on the law. I don't know what kind of lawyer she had on her side, if she had one at all. But this thing should have gone all the way to trial. That's what should have happened. Okay. Fair thoughts here.
Yeah, this is one of those stories that just absolutely makes your blood boil, because this young woman, for most of her life, has been a victim based on what we know, right? Came from this abusive household, tried to escape that, and like so many other victims of human trafficking, became a victim even further after that. That is where we see a lot of these human trafficking victims come from, runaways trying to escape an abusive household. I mean, I've spoken to so many survivors of human trafficking that this is almost textbook. And so what happens is they end up in yet another abusive situation. And it's almost, according to some of the people I've talked to, because that's what they know. That's how life has always been for some of these individuals. So she becomes a victim again. And then now she's a victim of our lopsided, completely backwards justice system here in the United States. What she did clearly was self-defense. And, you brought up the conservatives, they typically like this. Yeah, there's a lot of people that were defending Kyle Rittenhouse up and down who are just totally silent about what's happened with this poor young woman now. And when they put on her ankle monitor, they said, we got to make sure you don't return to that life of being human trafficked, of being a human trafficking victim. This wasn't a life that she chose. It was something she was forced into. And the court is still, and the justice system still treating her like she is the one who's done all these things wrong in her life. It is absolutely sick and disgusting the way this young woman is being treated, and the way so many victims of human trafficking are treated every day in this country, as if it's their fault they ended up in these situations.
Very well said, dear brother. And let me say this in closing. She's a child. She was a child when it happened. She's a child today. She was 15 when it happened. She's 17 today. She's still a child. This is a miscarriage of justice to the highest level. She killed her rapist. That took courage. She should receive an award. She's a hero.
What's good, Miss Lincoln? What's good with you?
What's good with you? Man, that story is so fucking sad. Like, oh my goodness. Like, and it's so crazy because at the same time, they brought that old case of 2008 up against R. Kelly, with that girl. And now she's 28 years old and she's saying that he did whatever she said he didn't do in 2008. It was like, oh, well, this is just to show that we're out here caring about all the little black young girls that's going through, things being abused and this and that. So you can come forward now, and we're this and that and this. And then you got this case right here, just a slap in somebody's face. Yeah, I really don't care about all the girls at all.
Right. Now, my thing is this, right? Why don't judges, because they claim judges don't have the authority to go outside of the minimum. And they're saying that's the problem with just the minimum that is set. Why judges don't have that authority, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't understand why it was even up to the judge. You would automatically thought the prosecutor would have not filed charges, or even if at some point even dropped them. So it wouldn't have been left in the judge's hand, right?
Yeah, that's true. But the judge could have spit back that plea bargain and been like, no, that's too high, or no, that's not fair, or whatever. The judge could have spit it back. Just like if she'd have took it to trial and they'd have found her guilty, the judge could have removed the verdict. You know what I'm saying? So he could have did something. He didn't have to go with what they gave her.
Yeah, I didn't understand what the reporter was saying, but I could tell by what he was saying. He was saying, you could have did this and gave her a better
Right.
situation. But again, I understand the judge could have did a lot of stuff, and I'm damn sure ain't giving him a pass. But this shouldn't even went past the prosecutor.
She shouldn't have been even indicted. I don't even see how it was
Right.
ever
That's
brought
how
up against I don't see
That
how
that
a grand jury could even had indicted her.
right. I mean, like I said, it shouldn't even left the prosecutor's hands. It should have been a
And
DA reject.
I know if I'd have defended her, I'd have took it to the box. I wouldn't have took no plea. I tell you, I'd have took it to the
Well,
box.
hold
And
on, Miss Baker. Hold on. You say you're a lawyer, right?
yeah,
Okay, now hold on, because I know you understand this part. The law clearly states that if you are not at the time of attack in any physical harm or danger, you can be charged with, at least I believe it's manslaughter, I think. So
okay,
now, based off the law, because this is what they did, this is how they convicted her, and I understand how they convicted her, but I don't agree with it. But I understand it because I've heard it done in different in other people's situations with the judicial system. So because the law says he was asleep, so he wasn't attacking you, he wasn't raping you. At that point, when you did that, you were not in danger, Miss Laker. So when
okay,
she went over
peep
there and
this.
killed him in his
Okay,
sleep, when she went over there
mm-hmm,
and killed that man in his sleep, he was not a threat to her. He was not
okay,
attacking her. Therefore, I
okay,
guess they charged her with premeditated, I believe.
okay. Now
Now,
get peep
go
this
ahead.
right here. Peep this right here. Okay, all I need the jury to come back, and I'm tell you, I'm quite sure that some of them jury would have had daughters or sons or just children themselves. Okay, peep this. When you defend yourself, they said that you have to be in fear of your life or a threat. Okay,
Hmm.
Okay. So even though at that time he might have
But hold
been
on, isn't
asleep.
that isn't that hold
Hold
on a second? Isn't that stand your ground? What you just mentioned?
Yeah, stand your ground. Hold on, peep this though. Listen, peep this though. You have to feel threatened, like your life is in danger. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And you have the right to defend yourself. Okay, listen. Even though this, I'm gonna tell you how I would have pulled it. Listen, even though he might not at that moment been physically threatening her anymore at that moment, you cannot say whether she mentally felt threatened. You can't tell about her mind state. Let me tell you, he had raped her already, and she had been abused and everything else. In her
Hmm.
mind, the abuse was still going on. It had never stopped, even
Now,
though it
Miss
wasn't.
Laker, I'm not a
Well,
lawyer, and I even would have thought of that one. You don't think her
right.
team thought of? Well, no, you don't think her team thought of that though?
Nah, nah. Because listen, you'd have took it to the box and got that. Man, you'd have got that easy. I don't see nobody coming back convicting that girl of that crime. I don't.
Well, look though,
I
we gotta
don't.
understand this. Look, the reason why I see her getting convicted of it because again, I've heard of these type of situations before where even if they feel like you should walk away because the law is written a certain way, people had to be convicted. Like it's happened many
And
times. So
listen,
hold on,
and if
hold on,
the
hold on.
jury felt like should not been charged, all they had to do was come back.
Look,
Listen, all they had to
so
do was
as a
come back
lawyer,
with
hold
a
on,
not guilty.
Miss Laker. So as a lawyer, you're hoping that the jury bases their judgment off emotion and not the law.
No,
Because if
listen.
no, no, hold
No,
on, hold on, let me finish,
it
let me
still
finish, let
is
me
the
hold on,
law.
hold
It
on,
still is
hold
the
on,
law,
hold
though.
on. Let
Listen,
me
it's
let me
still the
finish,
law,
and you
though.
can hold on. Let me finish, and you can respond. Hold on, because if the jury is basing their judgment strictly off what the law says, that man was not a threat, and you would have to then prove mentally with psychs and all this or other shit that the mental capability was there.
Okay,
Like
so what reason do you think she killed him, though? What reason do you think
no,
that?
I know why. I know why she killed
Okay,
him.
so the
She
mental
killed him.
part is
Look, let me
there. The
answer.
mental part is
No, the
there.
reason. No, the reason.
The threat to
No,
her never stopped.
look. I don't think it's even a mental thing. I'm gonna tell you what I think it is. And I said it. I believe already. I'm gonna say it again. What I believe happened was she was raped. No matter how many times it was, she was raped and sold to this man. Right? She's a 15-year-old girl. No question, a grown man, I don't care if he's skinny, should still be able to overpower a
A
15-year-old
kid.
female, regardless of what size she is. I don't give a fuck, skinny or not. I'm pretty sure during the one or however many rapes occurred before she killed him, she fought back. I'm sure he probably put hands on her, threw her in the corner, nigga. She didn't felt his strength, and no, she can't do this. She cannot beat this man. So her being a young but yet smart girl, She said, okay, motherfucker, I'm going to wait till I catch your ass slipping. I'm going to take your ass out. And I salute her for that, Miss Laker. And
But do
that's
you
what
think
she
that's the
did.
first time he fell asleep around her? You think that was the first time? No, it was not. So
I
you
don't
can't
give a
say it was
fuck.
premeditated because
I
I'm quite
don't,
sure he fell asleep plenty of
look,
times.
I don't give a fuck if it was his first or his 30th. He raped that minor girl. At any point, she should have had the right to cut that nigga throat. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm being
And
honest
I'm
with it.
saying that to her, the threat never stopped. It might have not been
What?
there
No, I
physically, but
agree
it
with you.
mentally would have
But
been
you
there.
know, I agree with you, Miss Laker. But what I'm telling you is, and you should know this, emotions don't work in court.
No, 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 no.
What
It's not emotions. It's still the law. She still stood her ground. It might not have been a physical threat. The physical had stopped at that
you
moment, but
can't
the
prove
mental
in
threat is
court,
still
Miss
there.
Laker. It's
Yeah,
hard.
yes, you can.
It's gonna be
Listen, let me
hard
tell
for
you this.
you. Hold on. It's gonna be
It,
hard for you. Let me say what I gotta say. Then you can respond. It's gonna be hard for you to prove in court that due to just strictly mental, this made this girl go over there and stab that man 30 times. And you shouldn't have to do all that extra shit.
right,
This is a clear cut case of this young minor, and I keep saying minor, was raped. You know she was afraid. You knew she was out strength. So she did what someone I would call smart did.
right,
She strategized. If she could have just left, I'm sure she would have.
right.
So
But
what?
listen to
If she
this
waited,
though.
I don't care if
If
she was.
if
I don't care. Hold on, Ms. Laker. I don't care if the bitch nigga was eating on some cereal and she stabbed him in the neck. She
facts, right,
strategized. I
right.
don't care if he was on the toilet and she kicked in the door and stabbed him in his nuts. She strategized. She's a minor. She's underage. She's not fully. And even as an adult, you should be able to get away with that as a woman
But listen, let
going
me
up
tell you
against a
this.
man.
I'd have had her seeing doctors, and listen, I'd have just kept calling the state bluff to if it came down to it, and you know what I'm saying, it wouldn't work. But I'm telling you, I would have showed tried it. I would have
Man, the
showed
problem I
tried it.
have with this Miss Laker is this was a white woman. It wouldn't even be no news media about it.
Man, she wouldn't even right. Yeah, she'd have been a hero. She'd have been praised and some
The
more stuff.
news would have been reporting that the man was stabbed 30 times. The girl is free. She's home with family and friends, and
She did what was best to save her life.
she's looking forward to starting a new life.
Right.
End of the news. Ain't no probation. Ain't no rest. And then on top of that, Miss Laker, this girl has to pay 150K to
I
his
know.
fucked up ass.
But you
And
know
I'm gonna
what,
be
Liz?
honest with you. Hold on, let me say this. Hold on. I'm sorry, family. Y'all love this fuck nigga. Let's be real about it. This nigga's raping kids, buying little girls. Y'all love this nigga still? I'm
I'm quite sure
sorry.
somebody in his
Hold on.
family he did it
I'm
too.
sorry. Y'all may not believe this, but I mean this with the bottom of my motherfucking heart. Everything in me, homie. If I was this fuck nigga's family, homie, I would reject payment. I wouldn't want it. I
Exactly.
wouldn't want $150,000 because of
For a
my
race.
rapist ass relative who got murdered and did this to this young girl. Where's the moral with the family? You broke, hungry ass, trifling ass bitches.
Exactly. But listen to this. I would turn around and sue his estate for him abusing me. I would flip it back around.
No, I get that, but where's the morals at in this shit? To
Right.
the family of this fuck nigga. They can't make you take no money. They can't make you
Right.
pass a check. Where's the morals at? You niggas probably over there broke as fucking happy as hell because y'all about to, for the
And I
first time
know
in
he
y'all, hold on. For the first time in y'all motherfucking life, y'all gonna see some nice piece of change due to your rapist ass motherfucking relatives. Fuck y'all. Go ahead, Miss Laker.
and I guarantee you that it's somebody in his family that he done did this to. I guarantee you it's somebody in the family that he done touched
Man,
before
he
he
probably
here.
have, but fuck all that, Miss Laker. I'm talking to the family
And
right now.
y'all
These
want some
motherfuckers
money
is
from her.
y'all trifling ass bitches. Fuck all y'all, nigga. And I don't care if y'all didn't have nothing to do with it. You accepting the money, nigga. Have some fucking integrity, some morals, some dignity with this shit. Stand for something. Y'all accepting
And then
that
you
money.
talk about,
So
oh,
y'all
she took
accepting
him
that
away
money.
from his
Look,
children.
y'all accepting that money. Ain't no shit is about the kids, because y'all accepting that money. Show that y'all support what the court has done, which is charged this girl, convicted this girl, and forcing this girl to pay money to y'all because of y'all rapist ass, nasty ass relative. Go ahead, Miss
It
Lady.
probably was the wife. Since he got kids and stuff, and then y'all talking about, oh, well, she took him away from his children. Now his children don't have a dad. The dad was a sorry dad anyway. You out here raping
And
kids.
that's another thing I brought up. It's like,
Hell,
well, look, I understand the prosecutor's role, right? I get it. I understand their job. But even as a prosecutor, man, you can't be a fuck nigga or a bitch. Let's be real about it. How can you sit in the court and say that this fucking minor victim didn't care or think about his two kids after being raped on what she alleging multiple times? Come on, y'all. Pretty sure the prosecutor probably was. No, I ain't gonna even say that because we got a black judge on the podium. He a fuck nigga too. So I ain't even gonna pull a race card on this one.
the
But to the
judge could have did a
prosecutor,
whole lot.
fuck you too. But fuck that prosecutor too. You want the courts to worry about this man kids and them not being without a father who's a fucking molester, a
And
rapist.
how did the
This man,
prosecutor even have the nerve to send that to a grand jury? I would have refused. I would have refused
man,
to prosecute her.
this
No, I'm
nigga was
not.
out. This nigga was out here buying girls,
buying girls,
buying kids,
buying
nigga.
kids.
Understand that he's paying
Understand that
cash
he's
money
paying cash
for
money.
kids. Last time I checked, that was the lowest of the scum, the lowest of the earth, the bottom of the pit. Why in this case it's not looked at like that? But hold on. Before we continue though, check this shit out. It gets even worse. The police have now, after all this has occurred, right? Years later, the police have now reached out to her alleged pimp. Yeah, 2, 3 years later, after this young girl's been convicted, charged, and all this so shit, they reached out and talked. Didn't arrest. They talked to the pimp. All they did was talk to this nigga. But this young girl, whole life is fucked over due to these charges that she had to accept due to the way the law was written. Y'all listen to this shit, man. This shit is fucked up and foul. They just talked to the pimp.
Bo, advocates for Lewis say while she has been in custody over the last couple of years, the man who allegedly trafficked her is still out there. Do you have any kind of update on him?
Well, Stacey, we're not going to name him because he hasn't been charged with any crimes yet, but we do know police have been in contact with him and they interviewed him in the days following Brooks' death. I spoke with the Polk County attorney, John Sarcone, on the phone earlier today, and they say that part is still under investigation and he couldn't comment any further. And we'll continue to follow this investigation and bring you the news at home as we learn any information or if any more arrests have been made.
Y'all hear that shit? Again, the minor nigga who was a victim, nigga, she done been through incarceration of years, slandered, disrespected, not cared for, but yet the grown rapist and the grown pimp ain't been arrested, ain't been charged with nothing, and they're looked at, or at least one of them is looked at as a victim. What part of the game is that? How does that go? Why is it that way? This is America. This is the type of struggle that we deal with on a day-to-day basis all the fucking time. Shit's not cool, man. This is what they call justice. This is what they call for the people. Well, if this is justice and this is for the people, then we don't want this shit. If this is done for us, we don't want it. Y'all making us pay taxes to pay their
Tonight,
salaries,
a fundraiser
and
to
they're
help a Des
fucking
Moines
over us.
teenager pay her court-ordered
Nah.
restitution has surpassed its goal. Pieper Lewis must pay $150,000 to the family of the man she killed after he allegedly raped her.
KCCI's Bo Bowman explains why Lewis is forced to pay the restitution and the legality of crowdsourcing this money.
Well, Steve, in Iowa, our restitution statute dictates that anyone guilty of a crime that results in the death of another person must pay $150,000 to the victim's family. And even though she was given a deferred sentence, legal experts here in Des Moines say the judge had no choice but to enforce that statute. We spoke with a Drake law professor who says the only way to change that is to have the legislature change the law or have the governor commute that portion of Pieper Lewis's sentencing. Now, in the 24 hours since the 17-year-old has been ordered to pay that money, one of her former teachers started a GoFundMe and raised more than she needed, almost $250,000 right now.
I had to stop it right there, you guys, because I want to correct him. As of today, she's closer to the $500,000 range. Shout out to everybody that donated, everybody that supported this young girl. Not only does she have enough to pay this punk ass shit, even though the family don't deserve it, in my opinion, even though she has enough to pay it, she does have enough to start a business or to start a life. So shout out to everyone out there that supported Pieper Lewis. Let's go.
And according to the professors at Drake, once that money is gifted to Lewis, she's allowed to use that to pay her restitution.
To my knowledge, there are no legal impediments for her to be gifted any amount of money for whatever purpose they want to give her to.
Now, the organizer of the GoFundMe page writes on there that all the excess money will be used to help Lewis go to college, start her own business, or help other young victims of sex crimes.
Ain't that crazy how the world works, y'all? And they put this girl through all that bullshit, and then we look up and boom, the world blessed her. She still got that bullshit on her record. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully the appeal can get it off or the governor overturn it. But at least she ain't got to worry about this cloud of 150K over her head, because y'all know that ain't easy to come by, you feel me? Especially as an ex-felon. So, y'all definitely supported her and got her up there. For what it's worth, I also appreciate everybody that looked out for that girl and donated to her. You know what I'm saying? Salute. Definitely salute. I need that type of support, huh? Man, tomorrow's my T day, man. I'm getting old. Y'all make sure y'all show me some love when y'all can. Let me see, what's this? I think I got one more video for y'all before we get up out of here. I just want to make sure you guys get all the content and all the facts.
بعنا خلق بالشهر سوى التغذية بس أما كان وزنه 4 كيلو الآن وزنه 2 كيلو و720 بعنا خلق بالشهر سوى التغذية بس أما التبرز بيه ما خلق ما يتبرزش قالوا انسداد بالأمعاء وطارش يد وطارش ما بتطرش السبب الجنين على
Come on, man. Y'all won't let me skip this. I don't want to watch this. This looks sad as hell. What the fuck going on? Little poor baby. God damn, that was fucked up. Prayers and best wishes to her and her family, man. I don't know what the kind of commercial that was, but god damn. We got all the way through the show to the last video. Now this shit want to lollygag.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. A teenage human trafficking victim has been ordered to pay her attackers family $150,000 in restitution. 17-year-old Pieper Lewis pleaded guilty last year to involuntary manslaughter and willful injury in the June 2020 killing of Zachary Brooks. Now, Lewis was 15 when she stabbed Brooks more than 30 times. Lewis maintained that she was trafficked against her will. She claimed she stabbed him in a fit of rage after being raped again and again. Now, both police and prosecutors didn't dispute that Lewis was sexually assaulted and, in fact, trafficked. On Tuesday, she was sentenced to 5 years probation in addition to a restitution order of $150,000. As for being required to pay restitution, Polk County District Judge David Porter said this court is presented with no other option. Restitution is mandatory under Iowa law. In a prepared statement read before sentencing, Lewis said, in part, "My spirit has been burned but still glows through the flames. Hear me roar, see me glow, and watch me grow. I am a survivor." Now, this case is similar to one that we saw in Wisconsin that we've been following closely here on Court TV. Crystal Kaiser was charged in 2018 for killing a man being investigated for sex trafficking. Court TV anchor Julie Grant gives us some background on that case.
Supporters in Kenosha, Wisconsin are calling on authorities to free Crystal Kaiser, an accused killer. They say Kaiser is a victim of human trafficking. They want the district attorney to drop murder charges against her. Kaiser says she was defending herself when she shot and killed 34-year-old Randall Voller and set his house on fire in June of 2018. Kaiser was just 17 years old at the time. Randy Voller was charged with child sex abuse and was out on bail at the time of his death. Kaiser's mother says the prosecutor knew about Voller's alleged activities, but did nothing to stop him.
He had evidence. The fact that it took for her to do something because she got tired of it. And he trying to sweep the whole problem under the rug, but it's so much more bigger than just her.
But District Attorney Michael Gravely says Kaiser killed Voller because she wanted to steal his car and then bragged about the killing on social media,
where she is essentially bragging on a Facebook Live sort of telecast. She has a gun in her hand. She's waving that gun in her hand, and she is discussing how if somebody makes her mad, she'll shoot them like she shot someone previously, and there are people there trying to quiet her down.
Kaiser's case has gained national attention, with celebrities like Alyssa Milano and Patricia Arquette calling for her release. Kaiser's case is reminiscent of the Centoya Brown case in Tennessee, which also garnered a lot of attention. Brown was a victim of child sex trafficking. She was tried, convicted, and sentenced to life in prison for murdering a man in 2004. He allegedly bought her for sex when she was 16 years old.
I've been able to help people, which is amazing. Young people, young kids, they listen. And I know it's purely an act of mercy that you even give me a hearing.
Brown was granted clemency by then Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam after serving 15 years. She was released in August of 2019. Kaiser faces life in prison if she's convicted of murder and arson.
My only thing is I want my child home, and it's messed up how everything happened.
Now, earlier this year, the Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled in favor of Kaiser using a state law that says sex trafficking victims are immune from prosecution from crimes that they may commit as a direct result of being trafficked. Now, normally that relates to prostitution, but it was expanded in this case. So we'll see how that ends up. We'll continue to follow that one too. All right, still with me, criminal defense attorneys Jack Rice, Josh Schiffer. All right, Josh, let's start off. This is an interesting case because this is a young woman. In Iowa, there's something called the safe harbor laws, and that's what they were dealing with in Wisconsin, where it says if you're being trafficked, you can't be charged with prostitution. What they were arguing there is that it should be expanded because these young women are in a situation they feel trapped, and if at some point they see an opportunity to act out and they do, they shouldn't be charged with a crime. It's exactly what happened here. So where do we want to start? Do we want to start on the...
Now look, isn't that funny how everybody has the same views we have, but yet the people that make the laws, people that are in place of the laws, they don't understand this. They don't have these views. This is basic fucking common sense. But yet, obviously, we got dummies writing the fucking law. Wake up, everybody. Wake the fuck up. This is what they doing to our little girls.
mandatory money that she's being forced to pay, or the fact that she's not protected by law in Iowa?
Very, very quickly, I'm going to hit a couple high points. First of all, this is why mandatory minimum sentences are terrible. They steal the discretion of judges, who are the ones that best know how justice works in their community. Certainly, they need guidelines, and there might need to be some rules, but mandatory minimums rob judges of the ability to do justice, period.
In individual cases like this.
Exactly. The safe harbor needs to be recognized by more and more states. Thankfully, it is spreading because these young women and other people, it's not just women, it's called duress. And duress is a legal concept where if you are experiencing third party or outside influences that force you to make a certain decision, you should not necessarily be held responsible for that decision. If I put a gun to your head and tell you to do something, you're going to do it whether it's legal or not. And you shouldn't be prosecuted for anything you do that's illegal when someone's got a gun to your head. That's the same as a sex trafficking victim experiences 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, especially when they're underage. And here's my real problem with this case. We elect prosecutors to follow the heart, soul, and the law in our communities. The hardest decision a prosecutor ever makes is deciding not to prosecute because they've got to go back to voters and tell them why someone that did something arguably terrible isn't being punished. This is, in my opinion, a district attorney welching on that obligation to dismiss cases.
All right, fair enough. Let me talk about the facts of this case, Jack, then I'll get you to ring in. What the prosecutors were alleging was this young girl, she was being trafficked by someone else. She was sold to this guy. This guy was doing whatever he was doing, and she felt trapped. Prosecutors, the reason they brought this case is because they say the guy was sleeping. According to the way the stabbing happened, he was lying down and apparently sleeping. She stabbed him 30 times. The law there's no safe harbor law, so they couldn't use that, was that there's an affirmative defense that if you committed under the compulsion of another's threat of serious injury, it's fine as long as the threat is imminent. Obviously, if he was sleeping, and that's the way they believe, he's not imminent. So that's why. And then a plea was taken in this case. That's the other crime that was committed here.
Yeah, it's both of those things. First of all, I see it like this. We know that the police, that the DA in that case, they acknowledged that she was sex trafficked. We acknowledge that she had been raped. So we all have that agreement. Now, if we talk about the concept of imminence, what I would say is imminence is the same as inevitability in this case. Because we know what happened to her in the past will happen to her in the future. It is coming. You can guarantee it, just like the sun coming up. And because that's the truth, she has the right to defend herself. If she's supposed to wait, this is the argument. She would have to wait until he actually decides to rape her. Not that he might be getting rapey too. No, I think it would have to be he's raping her, and then only then could she defend herself. This was disgusting. It never should have been charged out. This prosecutor has the ability to look at the facts of the case, use their own authority and say, under these circumstances, I do not believe in the interest of justice that their crime was committed and I am not going to bring charges. They have that authority. They should have used it in this case. They failed this young woman. They failed the system. They failed the people of Iowa.
Josh, it gets even worse. You know that little thing that I read there that she was talking about how she's glowing now and she's growing. They admonished her in their argument to the judge for her to get jail time, saying that she wasn't taking responsibility for the act, not only for the act, but the effect that stabbing this guy and killing this guy had on his family. Apparently he had 2 kids, all right? So they're representing the victim. You got to understand that. So you got to respect that aspect of it. But here's a guy, I mean, we know what he was doing. There's no dispute about what he's doing, and this is the approach you're going to take?
One of the frustrations, I think, of a lot of criminal defense lawyers is prosecutors who just have a policy and that's a line in the sand to object to everything. I want a bond, and it's totally real. Nope, I'm going to object. I want to, nope, I've got to object. And it's the safety for them because they're just following orders. And I'd be willing to bet they were under orders to contest anything that was presented in the court to the judge.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them, but that it's a symptom of what's wrong with our system. How are you going to take genuine justice for an individual and denigrate it and object to it when a 15-year-old's entire life is in front of her and you're affecting it, and you take that opportunity to pull down on her? That's hard to stomach. I don't care who you are.
All right. We do have to take a break, but a little bit of an epilogue. Young girl was having some problems in juvenile detention, not following rules. One can understand you may have a little problem with authority in the situation she's in. Judge told her, he said, I'm sending you out on close supervision. And young lady, when you go out into the world, there's going to be a lot of rules that you're not going to like. You're going to have to follow them. Otherwise, you're going to end up back in jail and you're going to do 20 because both those charges hold 10 years. So, gosh, I wish the best for this young lady, but it's going to be tough.
See, once again, we're seeing it happen with our ladies, but again, it happens to us fellas all the time, man. That's why a lot of people move out of America. That's why a lot of people say, fuck the police, fuck America. It's because of bullshit like this, man. A lot of us got a lot of loved ones and a lot of relatives that are locked behind the walls for bullshit. When people out here is committing worse crimes and getting slaps on the wrist, police getting let go. Man, myself, I'm so fucking tired of America and the bullshit with the police. I am ready to fucking go. Justice for Piper Lewis, man. Y'all keep saying it. Y'all keep earning our prayers. Y'all support her any way y'all can. I appreciate it and I love y'all. I am Sincere Official, and as always, I'd like to welcome you motherfuckers to what? The Hood Unlocked. I'm going to holler at y'all next time, and I'm going to keep bringing y'all that good content. Peace.